Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to another episode of the Weekend Crusaders. My name's Sean Wasserkrug, and with me, as always, is Brian Michaels. I'm getting so much better at knowing where to point now. I'm so proud of myself. Welcome to episode 6 of the Weekend Crusaders. It's the Valentine's Day episode. Yeah.
Technically speaking, yeah.
And we're telling you off right off the bat, if you haven't clicked on the link already, we're not talking about Deadpool. Even though I'm wearing a Deadpool shirt and it came out on Valentine's Day, we're not talking about it. That's our representation of Deadpool. Instead I'm wearing a Deadpool t-shirt. We got some good movies. We got some fun movies to talk about this week, I think, compared to the last couple of weeks. And that's kind of one thing that Brian and I were talking about is that we're starting to get into kind of good movies to talk about. Like, it's a little more fun to talk about these movies. I don't know about next week. Actually, no, next week's fun. I even said next week's going to be a fun episode. We'll leave that to the end. Today, we're actually going to start with my movie. So my pick. And that's one good thing about Valentine's Day. You have your rom-coms, you've got just straight-up romantic films, but you also got horror movies. And for me, I picked a horror movie that like I said last week for the tease, was supposed to restart the franchise and effectively didn't. And I personally think that is the best one. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, but I don't care. And that is the 2009, I wouldn't say remake. What would you call it? It's not a remake. It's kind of a reboot.
It's one of those gray area ones because it kind of starts it over again, but it kind of still acknowledges the other ones exist, and I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway.
Let's just say a relaunch. I don't know.
Relaunch, reboot, what have you. Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th came out on Friday the 13th in February 13th, 2009. I know, it's like they planned things. Had a budget of $10 million, had a weekend opening of $40.5 million, was number one that weekend. It was their only weekend at number one. Had a box office finish of $91.5 million, had $65 million domestic, and $26.5 million international. And like I said before, I really, really like this Friday the 13th. I don't know why this movie gets so much hate compared to all the other ones. And I get the original one's a classic, but the original one didn't have really Jason in it. It was the mother, which I'm like, on. And honestly, Jason didn't really become Jason until the third one. And at that point, that's when the movies kind of started hitting that, like, so corny, it's stupid kind of stuff. And, like, then you had, like, Jason X where he goes to space. And
yeah,
Jason
ridiculous at the end there.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, this one, I love this one. I think it has a great, like human. I mean, great, like, survivor cast or non-survivor cast. I think the cast that they have for this is great. I think the Jason in this is, for honestly, terrifying because this Jason's smart. He's fast. He's got traps. He's clever. And that's the one thing that I think really puts him elevated above, like the original Jason and even Michael Myers, is that they're slow. And it's like, you can outrun them. Obviously, movie magic makes them that they always somehow cut you off. But it's like how they move, like, 1 mile every 2 hours. But like Freddy, that was the beauty of Freddy, was that Freddy was intricate. Freddy was planned, and he toyed and played with his food. This Jason don't fuck around. Like, he's got tunnels. He's quick. He's agile. This Jason just will F you up, and does not waste time. That's what I love about this Jason. But cast wise, everyone who knows me knows I am a super huge Supernatural fan. And this was the year where both Sam and Dean decided, let's act in movies. So Jared Padalecki, he did House of Wax a little bit earlier, which was not a good movie, but he was the lead in this as a Clay, and then Jensen Ackles did My Bloody Valentine, which was not good, which really makes me sad. But you got Jared Padalecki, you got Danielle Panabaker, you got Amanda Rigetti, Travis Van Winkle, Aaron Wu, Ben Feldman, Ryan Hansen, Willa Ford. I mean, they're all, like, I'm saying those names, you're like, I don't know who half these people are, but look up their pictures, you'll go, oh, those people. I mean, I love Superstore, so Ben Feldman being in the beginning, I forgot he was in this movie, and I was like, oh, Superstore. Yeah, like I said, I really liked this movie. I liked the story they told with it. Like you said, it's kind of like a reboot because they kind of show the events of the first film in the opening. But I really liked the story they told here. And the one thing that really sold me on this movie What makes me like movies like Cabin in the Woods and stuff is that most of these horror films, you don't care about 90% of the people that die in these movies. You're just like, all right, they're fodder. This movie I thought did a really good job of giving you enough story with the teenagers or college kids really in this one to actually effectively care when these characters die. Like when Aaron Woo's character, spoiler, when Aaron Woo's character, his name Chewie, he's Chewie in the movie. I really liked that character, and then I also really liked I'm not seeing him on the cat. Oh, Lawrence, I think it was Lawrence. I liked all these characters, like went to the point where they died. I was like, oh, that sucks. Like I actually enjoyed watching them on TV. I cared about these characters for the most part. You don't care about obviously the Travis Van Winkle's character because he's the dickhead in the movie, but most of the others, like I said, I'm not going to keep naming everyone because I don't want to spoil people who haven't seen the movie who live or dies. But and let's put it this way, Clay or Jared Padalecki, he's playing Sam. He's basically Sam from Supernatural. Without all the backstory of knowing how to kill everything, he's basically playing Sam. So if you love Supernatural, you're gonna like Jared in this because he's basically playing Sam Winchester. But it's one of those things where I was so happy with this movie after it came out, and I was so like excited to see what more we were gonna get with this. And it was leaps and bounds better than the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, which I think also came out in the same year, wasn't it? Didn't they both come out the same year?
Elm Street came out a year later.
It was a year later? Okay. Which I was so excited for that one because Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy just sounded like the perfect casting choice, and it did not work. But I really loved Friday the 13th, 2009, I guess is what we'll call it. Brian, what are your thoughts? I know you didn't like it nearly as much as I did, but
you say you get a lot of hate saying this is the best one. I think this is easily the best one of the franchise.
Yeah.
And I've actually talked to a lot of people who feel the same, that this is the best one. I mean, is it a perfect movie? You know, it's not a 5-star film or anything, but as far as this franchise, I think it's the best one. Not only in its, I think it has the best production value to it. I think it looks the best. I think the kills are the best. But I think that the scares and just the tension are done very well. It's not jokey or kind of cookie cutter like a lot of the later sequels got, things like that. The cast, like you've already covered most of the cast, but like Jared Padalecki was good. I'm just gonna say it. The women in this movie, beautiful. That doesn't hurt in a horror movie to have good things to look at. Yeah. But Ryan Hansen, who I know from like Veronica Mars and some other stuff, he plays basically the same douchey character in every movie he's in. He did it again perfectly here. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was well done. I kind of hoped it would relaunch the series. Obviously, that didn't happen. You know, I kind of the same as you with Nightmare. I kind of thought this was going to kick off well, actually, it's kicked off with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I think the new ones are way better than the old ones too, and I'm getting a lot of hate for that, I'm sure.
Well, I'll say for this part, I know we're kind of covering all the horrors now. Yeah. I really liked the Jessica Biel one.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
I thought that one was like the better. That and its sequel, the beginnings, I thought were better than all the previous ones.
Yeah, I saw the last one or two of them. I think.
I was okay with them.
The one was the last one I saw.
So I was okay with the reboot in Friday the 13th, and this one turned out good, but unfortunately didn't restart it. Nightmare on Elm Street came out, which actually is not as bad a movie as people think. I didn't like.
It's boring.
It's kind of boring because they took it too seriously. And Freddy, I know they're going for more realistic burn victim, but I really didn't like the look of Freddy. But that's a whole tangent. Yeah. But this movie, you know, like I said, I enjoy it, and I agree. I think it's probably the best of the series.
I'm so happy that you like this as much as I do. There's so many times in this movie where Jason does something, I'm like, oh shit. And it's not because of the kills. It's just like there's the one scene, which this is in the trailer, so it's not taking anything. But there's the one scene where they're outside, and he's literally watching them on the roof, just like. Holy crap! Like this Jason's like no, he can climb. He'll do something like I said, his whole tunnel deal. And then like even the reasoning for why he keeps a certain character alive added so many more layers to the Jason character outside of he's dead and he's hunting people, blah blah blah. Because this Jason's not dead in this story anyway. And the reason why he keeps a certain character alive for most of the film is it makes logical sense, and I think it added more layers to the character of Jason. And like I said, the women in this are gorgeous. Amanda Rigetti, like I remember watching her from The Mentalist. Like she's not really done much outside of this, I don't think. But Danielle Panabaker, I've always thought is super attractive. But yeah, Ryan Hansen, hilarious. Aaron Yu it is you, right?
You. Why? Yeah.
I think he's great. I loved him in like Disturbia and stuff. And of course, like I said, Supernatural, Padalecki. He should be in more movies. I know he's doing Walker Texas Ranger right now, which is kind of not that great. He's okay, but it's not Chuck Norris. It's just weird. But
one last casting thing, which I didn't remember this when I first saw the movie like 10 years ago or whatever. Oh. But one thing I noticed this time, just trivia for Trekkie nerds out there, Jason's mother is played by Nana Visitor, who was Kira on Deep Space Nine. Anyway, just random trivia.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that I think both this and excuse me, Freddy vs. Jason, because that's not the mother from the OG series, is it?
No.
The actress. No, I think they both actually really, really close to the OG mother.
Yeah.
They did a really good job of making them look relatively close. But anyway, Friday the 13th, 2009. If you guys have not seen it, Brian and I both agree it is the best one of the franchise, but effectively killed the franchise. And I think the reason why it got glorifiedly like killed in terms of the franchise is that, and I looked it up, so I was like, it looks like it made a lot of good money and stuff like that. What happened? It had an 80% drop off in week 2. Like it made that much money week 1 and then had an 80% drop. Like it went from like down to like $7 million in week 2, which effectively can kill any movie.
Which the most frustrating part about that is that, you think, well, maybe it's because of, horror movies and Valentine's Day, things like that. But that kind of stuff does work. The problem is like, it seems like the only movies that make money horror-wise in theaters are like the jump scare movies, the Paranormal Activities, the Conjurings, which I'm not a fan of that style.
Aww. Well, the first couple Saws. And I think that was just more or less because it was the first of many.
Yeah.
And it was like something different. But I digress. I feel like this should have gotten more sequels, especially with the way it ended. I'm not necessarily a big fan of the ending of it, but it opened the door for more films, which we never got. And I think we haven't gotten another Jason movie since this, have we?
No, there've been like I think I read like 6 different times they planned on, and they have like scripts and things, but nothing ever came to fruition.
I'm still waiting for Jason versus Freddy versus Ash of the Evil Dead. I still want that so bad. I still do. They've been teasing that for way too long. But yeah, so it's been. I never realized that it's been 11 years since we've had a Friday the 13th movie. Like Michael Myers is back full force. We still haven't gotten Freddy. We still haven't gotten Jason back yet. We got Chucky back. Chucky actually never really will after though, because they're still making like the OG series.
Chucky just went straight to home video. That's all.
Yeah, but no, we got Child's Play like 2 years ago, like a new Chucky kind of thing.
Right.
But, they're gonna make another VOD one where he's gonna kill that version of Chucky, kind of like how they killed the '98 Godzilla. But anyway, streaming services, is Friday the 13th on anything?
It is on HBO Max right now.
It is great. I had the disc, so I just straight up watched it from what I had. But yes, HBO Max, check it out. It's a movie that Brian and I both actually enjoy. Like I said, best in the series. If you're not a diehard fan of the OG one, which I know that's probably where I'm going to get a lot of hates because
very importantly, also you don't need to know anything about the previous series to watch this one. You can start with this one.
Like I said, it basically, like I said, effectively probably is more of a reboot. So you can go right into this.
It explains any backstory you need to know.
Yeah. Great movie. Next, we are going to go to The Stinker, and this is going to be a running probably joke on this show. This movie broke my heart. I was so upset when I saw this movie because I was so excited. I remember the day it came out because I think it came out the same day as Deadpool. So I remember I watched those both back to back. I remember I took a picture on Facebook. And I had the wig on to go to the movie, and I took a picture and everything. It's on Facebook somewhere.
Did you have a wig on?
Because it came with when the okay. Well, hold on. Let's say what the movie is, and then I'll explain it. Hold on. If I can find it, I'll post the picture on here for everybody. But we're talking about Zoolander 2. Zoolander 2 came out in 2016, February 12th, 2016. Had a budget of $50 million. Had a weekend opening of $13.8 million. It was number 4 behind Deadpool, obviously. Kung Fu Panda 3, which was in its 3rd week, and How to Be Single. What? In its 1st week. How did that movie beat this? Finished the box office with $56.7 million, had $28.8 million domestic and $27.8 international. Back to the story. I had bought Zoolander 1 on Blu-ray.
Mm.
It was like the collector's edition, and it came with a Zoolander wig, like a headband that had the hair that stuck up. And I wore it. And if I have the picture, I will be talking about it right now over this. I literally took it and I did my blue steel look and all that. Look, Brian, you never saw the first.
I quit.
Hold on. This is what's gonna happen when you pick Monty Python, like, because you love Monty Python. I think Monty Python's garbage. You never saw the first Zoolander film. Zoolander 1 is one of my favorite comedies of all time. I think Ben Stiller, Will Ferrell, is it Christine Taylor or Christina Taylor?
Christine.
Christine Taylor and Owen Wilson, Will Ferrell. I think I already said one of them already. I think the first film works beautifully. I think it's I don't want to say natural, but I think the comedy between them flowed naturally. It wasn't forced. It was he's a stupid model. Hansel's kind of an airhead. Their comedic timing back and forth, I think, worked beautifully. Will Ferrell, he's the smartest one in the room, but he's also stupid. But he's more clever than those ones. And then Christine Taylor's character is just kind of like stuck in the middle. I think it worked great. I could quote the whole first movie. I loved it. So when I heard, I'd always wanted a sequel. So when they announced Zoolander 2 is finally coming out, and I told Brian this, I don't think I was about as excited for this as I was when they announced Jurassic World after Jurassic Park had been out of theaters for as long as it was. Because I love Zoolander so much. And I go and I see this movie, and it's not funny. Scratch that. There are moments in it that are Zoolander-esque, granted, that made me chuckle because I love Zoolander and I love Hansel. And sometimes their back and forth work really well. But this movie is horrible. It is not good. It tries to do reenactment jokes of the first film that do not land. It basically, for the first half of the movie, is basically all about them being washed up and trying to get back in the limelight, and then him trying to get his son, who is played by such a horrible actor. What's the actor's name who plays his son?
I don't even
know his name.
Is that Cyrus Arnold?
Cyrus Arnold. Horrible actor. The dude, I honestly think he got the job because he did a good Blue Steel.
And he did. I didn't do that well too.
I mean, but you don't know the first film. But I think that's the only reason why he was cast. The rest of the movie, he's incredibly hard to deal with. But the main problem is in this same thing with Mordecai. You have such a great cast of people around you. And then they go into a whole like a Da Vinci Code storyline in the last half of the film, which it's ridiculous. It's over the top stupid, and not in a good stupid like the first film. But I mean, honestly, the one part that I think I consistently laughed at was Kiefer Sutherland's character in this, where he basically plays himself. Because I love Kiefer Sutherland, and unlike last week with The Vanishing, this is him basically being Jack Bauer, but with a very sensitive side, and it works beautifully.
He should have worn the yellow sweater.
You know what? This movie would have totally made sense if he played Hacky Sack, because he was friends with Hansel, and so every scene he's in, he's got Owen Wilson's Hansel, and him playing Hacky Sack in this would have 100% made total sense and would have totally wrapped around.
But I kind of liked him there in his full Jack Bauer garb. It kind of worked.
Yeah, he's in full Jack Bauer, and he does the whole like Hansel, like does the whole like it's great. I love that part, but Will Ferrell's character is tacked on. Like I said, they try to make it like this like secret agent, like Da Vinci Code stuff. It doesn't work. It's not funny. They rehash old jokes and they half-ass it too. That's the worst part is they half-ass the old jokes. And if you're gonna reenact a joke from the first film, you better stick that landing. And it basically was just like, we'll do this because we really had nothing else better to do. Brian, you were watching this for the first time, and like I said, you had never seen the first film, so you didn't have the love for it. And before you go, the first week probably sucked too. Zoolander is really loved by a lot of people. A lot of people love the first film, so don't go attacking the first film because that film is a perfect.
Okay, so then I'll attack the character from before the first film existed. Ben Stiller has used this character before. He had the Ben Stiller show, and in some other things, he had created this character of Zoolander, which he had used before. I was never a fan. Part of that's just because I think the fashion world is stupid. But also just male models, and when he's shooting his little blue steel look, it's like it's not funny. It's just I thought it was dumb. So they made the first movie, didn't bother go seeing it. Everybody says it's hilarious. I think I've seen a couple scenes here and there. I'm like, nope, not seeing it, so I didn't watch it. Watch this one for this show. Are there a couple moments here and there where I chuckle? Sure. But it's mostly exactly what I expected it to be, which is just Ben Stiller making funny faces and, trying to, a lot of those things where he kind of thinks he's funnier than he is. I feel like Ben Stiller thought like this is going to be his like Austin Power franchise, where he's playing this goofy character, and not only can he do that and bring in all these other celebrities to come be in his movies, but he can also like go on these adventures, which is kind of this one they kind of tried to turn it into almost like a spy thriller kind of thing, at least solving this mystery or whatever. And it's like I didn't think that worked. I think this is also one of those movies that just tries to be cameo the movie. They think if we just, make up for quality by just putting in 300 celebrities for 5 seconds each, that'll make people want to see it. And I didn't think that worked. So, I mean,
I can agree with the cameo part. Like I said, in the first week, there are cameos, but they aren't so, I mean, they are like blatantly in your face, but they're not as bad as in this one. Like in this one, they are basically going, here's this person, here's this person, here's this person, here's this person. You see this person? Oh, it was a split second. Here's another shot of this person again. Whereas like in the first one, there are a lot of cameos, but they're not like going, hey, blah, 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 blah. So that way, if you didn't know who they are, now you do know who they are, kind of thing. And
that's like when you do like these spoof movies where somebody comes in and they're such bad impersonators, you're not even sure who they're supposed to be. You're like, hey, Ryan Seacrest from American Idol, how are you? And it's like that's what I felt in this movie, where people come on and they'd be like, hey, Neil deGrasse Tyson, because they knew their audience wouldn't know who he is, a lot of them. So it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, there's certain scenes where they're just trying to. It's like they're trying to make it serious, but it's like it's Zoolander. It's not.
Yeah. And every time any character shot that stupid little look, it just made me hate this movie a little bit more.
I mean, you can't knock Magnum, Blue Steel, Aquavita, which
it's all stupid. It doesn't even make me smirk.
You laughed so hard at the Aqua commercial. The cow. You were like,
that had nothing to do with the look, though.
That's funny.
I said there's a couple things this movie made me chuckle, and it's like I don't generally dislike Ben Stiller as an actor or director, because I just think that his best movies, one of his first ones, Reality Bites, I really liked. Tropic Thunder, I think, is good. But I think this one's just And anytime he tries too hard to do like these goofy characters, I don't get into those nearly as much. And so that's why this movie just.
I think you like him more when he's toned down.
I do like him toned down. Now I don't necessarily like him when he tries to do serious roles either, but I like him when his comedy is not quite so, I'm gonna make funny faces kind of thing.
You're kind of like me when it comes to like Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, where it's like if you can kind of pull the reins on them and not let them, like Step Brothers for the most part works, but then you give them something like Sherlock Holmes, and it's like no, you can't let them do that. Like you have to pull them in. Like I knew even before I saw that, but it was like this is gonna be a train wreck. But like so I think with you need Ben Stiller to kind of have like a linear focus and not just kind of go and just do whatever the hell he wants. Which he does, because Zoolander's his character. It's no different than Mike Myers doing Austin Powers. That's his character. Same thing with Wayne's World. But I mean, like I said, I feel like, why am I defending Zoolander 2? I hate this movie. I'm more or less defending the character of Derek Zoolander than I am the film. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I love Derek Zoolander. I love Hansel, Mugatu. I love those three characters from the first film. But yeah, this movie, it broke my heart. Like
I think the only two scenes that you enjoyed, and probably me too, were because they were killing off characters we didn't like.
Yes. So. Yes, and like I said, it's in the trailers. Them killing off Justin Bieber. I remember, and I told Brian that I was in the theater watching this. Which, granted, I saw this and Deadpool like back to back, and both theaters were actually relatively full because, like I said, there was a lot of people excited to see Zoolander when it came out. The theater roared in applause when Justin Bieber bites it in the opening scene.
It's all downhill from there.
Yeah, exactly. I remember actually getting shot like 1,000 times. He starts doing the Instagram. You chuckle. You're like, what the hell is going on? I was like, this is the movie. This is what we're gonna have. Who was the other character that died that I enjoyed?
Kyle Mooney.
Oh, yes, we don't
Spoilers, but who cares? Because don't watch this movie.
I don't want to leave out Kyle Mooney. I can't stand this guy.
I've never heard of his.
He's on SNL. He's horrible on it. He plays the same. What? Cool. Yeah. Dope. Does that? Yeah, it's spot on, isn't it? It's a spot on impression of Kyle Mooney.
Pretty much, I'm totally gifting that, by the way.
I don't care. It's better than the other gift you have. But this guy is so one note. He plays this performance in every skit in SNL, and he plays it in this. I cannot stand this guy. If I saw this guy in person, I would punch him in the face. I will tell you that. I'm telling you that right now. Someone bring me Kyle Mooney. I will punch that guy in the face. I will not feel bad about it. I cannot stand this guy. I can't. It angers.
Right, you're gonna get this pulled from YouTube for promoting violence.
We promote violence all the time. Yeah, I love that we killed Justin Bieber, and I want to punch Kyle Mooney in the face.
Yeah.
But it's I can't stand the guy. I can't. And I also felt sorry for Benedict Cumberbatch for being the role he's in. Which even then, like, his role is kind of like funny in a sense.
No.
It's funny because it's Cumberbatch. Like, how did they get Cumberbatch to do
it? It was funny in a way of like, oh my gosh, did he have some bills to pay or owe somebody? He lose a bet? Because
it's like,
nothing about the role itself was funny. It was just dumb.
How did they get Cumberbatch to do this? It's so ridiculous that he's like, I'm Sherlock, but I'm going to come on. I'm going to play. I think his character's name was All, and it's like I'm going to play this character, and that's the thing is Cumberbatch, because he's so serious actor, he gives it all in his performance. Like that's why I think I like it. Like it's a very small role. If he had done the whole movie, I'd be like, oh my god, this is horrible. But just in the two scenes he's in, Cumberbatch really does give everything he's got in this role. Just like Kiefer. Kiefer's putting on like an Oscar-worthy performance in the movie.
I like Kiefer in this.
If you guys need to see Zoolander, well, first off, watch the first one and then stop. But if you need to see the sequel, watch it for Kiefer Sutherland's performance, because his performance is the highlight of the film. Is Zoolander 2 on anything?
It is not free anywhere, and you don't want to pay to see it. So maybe a friend has you can borrow from.
Yeah, even I would say we watched it because I have the Blu-ray.
I hated this movie, but I went and paid money for it.
I'm a completist, man. If I have one of the movies, I have to have the other one. Like let's put it this way: the one movie that we're fighting on to be a stinker in May that I hate with a fiery passion, which anyone who knows me knows exactly what I'm talking about. I have it on Blu-ray. Why? Because I'm a completionist, and I had to have it to complete the set. So I had Zoolander, so we watched it on my Vudu because, yeah, we had it. Plus, you got the first one on digital if you bought the Blu-ray, so it was kind of a twofer. Anyway, Zoolander's not anywhere for free, so if you want to pay for it, I mean, at your own risk, watch it for a great Kiefer Sutherland performance. So now that my heart is broken on our Valentine's Day episode, we are now going to build it back up. We're going to go back to back on a certain genre for Valentine's Day. We're going to go Revisited first. Revisited, this was, I think, the first time so far on the show that Revisited wasn't something that I haven't seen that Brian has. It's now something that I had seen that Brian hasn't seen. I think this is kind of a quiet, like, rom-com that came out. I don't think a lot of people knew about it or know about it personally. But when I saw it, I was like, ooh, I enjoyed this movie. And Brian's like, I had never seen it. So I'm like, we're definitely picking it. And that is, that is the 1999 Blast from the Past. Came out February 12th, 1999, had a budget of $35 million, had an opening weekend of $7.77 million, was number 4 behind Message in a Bottle in its first week. My Favorite Martian, God, I remember that movie sucked, in its first week, and Shakespeare in Love in its 10th week. Finished its box office at $40.26 million, had $26.5 million domestic and $13.7 million international. Like I said, I know the movie. Brian, this was your first time watching it. What did you think of Blast from the Past?
First of all, I don't know how I never saw this movie. Because, I mean, it came out in the 90s, which is when I was just going to see everything that came out. It's got Alicia Silverstone, who's one of those people who's just always adorable. I'll go see her in anything. I even went and saw that Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie just because she was the mom in it. Brendan Fraser essentially playing Link from Encino Man again in this movie, kind of. The whole fish out of water, out of his time kind of thing.
So, I mean... Well, that's why.
What's that?
He plays that character so
He
well.
plays that kind of dumb, dim-witted kind of
Yeah.
thing well. But I mean, so I like the cast. The story, is fine. Is so I don't know why I never saw it. So I finally watched it now. It was cute. Didn't love the movie, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun time. I liked everybody in it. Christopher Walken, I always like what kind of when he does comedies. I mean, it's kind of almost all he does anymore. He kind of become a parody of himself, but Christopher Walken was a lot of fun in it. I mean, the story is it is what it is. It's actually kind of unique, I will say. It's not the kind of thing you see very often, but it's essentially the fish out of water story, and then of course she's kind of the person guiding him through the current world, and I thought it worked pretty well.
For people who don't know the story, basically this takes place around the Cuban Missile Crisis, isn't it? Like the 1960s.
Yes, 60s, yeah.
Yeah, and you got this family with Sissy Spacek and Christopher Walken, and they have a bomb, like a fallout shelter in case the Russians drop nukes, and they think that the Russians are going to drop nukes because there was like an emergency report on the news about certain issues happening, which I think is the start of the Cuban Missile Crisis. I think that's what it was. But they go into the fallout shelter for the night, but as that's happening, a plane crashes on their house, so they think it's the Russians bombing. So they stay down there for 35 years. And Sissy Spacek's character is pregnant at the time when they go down there. So she gives birth. They have a kid who ends up being Brendan Fraser. And so he spends the first 35 years of his life underground. And then Christopher Walken's character has a heart attack. And so they need to send Brendan Fraser's character up to the world that they don't know what's going to happen. So basically get supplies, because they only had supplies for the first 35 years. And then he realizes that, it's a regular world, but he doesn't understand anything. He doesn't know anything, because all he knows is the fallout shelter. And Alicia Silverstone's character is the character, like you said, who's going to guide him through this. Like I said, and Brendan Fraser, he was just coming off of The Mummy.
Same year, yeah. Actually, this actually came out before The Mummy then.
No, was May. Well, I mean, was Mummy 99?
Mummy's 99.
This was after this. I'm pretty positive this came out after The Mummy.
If this came out in February of 99, it was before The Mummy. Mummy was May.
I don't know, man. I feel like I saw The Mummy before I saw Blast from I really, really do. I could be totally wrong. That just could be like memory-wise. I just feel like I saw The Mummy before this. But in terms of his physical ability, you're probably right, because he definitely got, I wouldn't say shredded, but he's definitely in a lot better shape in The Mummy compared to this. But yeah, like you said, the cast, like I said, Sissy Spacek and Walken, they're solid. Brendan Fraser, I think he does the fish out of water thing really well. Alicia Silverstone, I agree with you on everything you said about Alicia Silverstone. I also really liked Dave Foley as Troy.
See, I didn't like him because it just seemed like such the stereotypical, here's the gay friend role. Especially Dave Foley just seemed completely wrong for it.
It's 99. It's 1999.
But Dave Foley just seemed completely wrong for it too. I didn't buy that at all. It seemed like him doing one of the Kids in the Hall characters, as opposed to a real character.
I just liked his snide little comments. I liked how he was a nice gay friend. Like he wasn't the how most of the, and this is not me being stereotypical, this is the way the movies have been drawn. You either have the sassy gay friend who's kind of an asshole the whole time, but he's just like, he's the nice one. He's the one who calls Alicia Silverstone out on her shit, and he's super nice to Brendan Fraser. I liked his character in this. And then one of the very, very few movies where Nathan Fillion has got like 2 scenes in it.
I have a problem with this casting.
He's got a horrible haircut in this movie.
And I have a horrible problem with this casting, but only because I'm seeing it now. If I'd seen it back then, no problem. But seeing it now, it's like, because he plays like the ex-boyfriend?
Ex-boyfriend,
who is kind of trying to get Alicia Silverstone to come back to him.
I don't think he really is trying. And I don't think he's really trying to get back.
Well, but he's kind of the jerk. He's the jerk ex-boyfriend. At one point, he gets like in a fight with Brendan Fraser's character and all this kind of thing. And the problem is, like, it's Nathan Fillion. So I'm like, he should win. I want Nathan Fillion to get the girl.
I'm rooting for him, but he's so young, Nathan Fillion, that he's like, okay, well that's a douchebag, Nathan Fillion. We don't like this Nathan Fillion.
But I can't take him as a douchebag. I like Nathan Fillion.
He's a douchebag in the movie. Like, he's not even good in this. Like, granted, he's a douchebag. I'm
sorry, it's a rule. I can't root against him.
He's a douchebag in Santa Clarita Diet on Netflix, but you still like him in that because it's Nathan Fillion. But in this one, I think he's so young in this, because I think the only thing he really did, like, this was, I think he had, God, was this after Fire? This was after Firefly, wasn't it?
No, it was before Firefly.
Before Firefly? Well, he had done. No, this was before Buffy. Was this his first thing?
This is it's after Saving Private Ryan for sure. It's a year after Saving Private Ryan.
I was like, because Buffy, he was in the last season of Buffy. We're literally checking this right now.
And I don't know when Buffy ended, but Saving Private Ryan was his first movie, and then this. So as far as films,
why am I not seeing Fillion in here? It's probably because he's got such a small role. This is the greatness of our show, guys. Is that when we both get stumped.
You can watch us Google things.
Yeah, we're basically checking IMDb stuff on Nathan Fillion. There he is.
What's the other one to list before this?
Well, he was in Two Guys That Go on a Pizza Place, which is a TV show that I love. If you guys have never seen that show, it's Ryan Reynolds, Nathan Fillion. What's her name from Monk? Oh God, what's her name? We're so off the rails right now, but I don't care. Her name is Trailer Howard. Two Guys Are Going to Pizza Place. That's a great show. If you guys have never seen that, it's a fantastic show with Ryan. It was Ryan Reynolds before he was a star. That movie basically, and then he did Van Wilder after it. But yeah, Nathan Fillion was on that. Anyway, I might keep all this in. I don't care. It depends. It depends. I might have cut all this.
Anyway,
but,
one of his first movies. He's a minor character in the movie too.
Yeah, he literally. That's the love of Nathan Fillion. He might be in the movie for a total of 3 minutes, and we spent 10 minutes talking about the character. Anyway, Blast from the Past. Like Brian said, it's a harmless rom-com. It's a blimp on the radar of the movies that came out in '99, but it was enough for me to remember it. I liked it. It's got its charming moments. It's got some funny humor, and it's not laugh out loud funny, but it's a harmless rom-com with a solid cast of enjoyable characters. I don't think it's on any streaming services, is it?
It is not currently. I mean, you can rent it, or buy it everywhere, but it's not free anywhere right now.
Yeah. So if you guys want to check out Brendan Fraser pre-Mummy and Nathan Fillion pre almost everything, even though he's only in 2 scenes, and Alicia Silverstone, then definitely check out Blast from the Past. That's enough that we've spent on Blast. And Christopher Walken, obviously. So moving on, we spent way too much time on that. But we're going to go to our featured film. It is another rom-com. It is a movie that Brian and I both have seen many, many times. We both really, really enjoy. And that is the 1997 film Fools Rush In, which came out on Valentine's Day 1997, had a budget of $20 million, did a weekend opening of $8.58 million. It was number 3 behind Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope Special Edition in its 3rd week, and Absolute Power in its 1st week. Had a finished box office of $29.48 million. This is also one of those movies, like this is why Brian and I work so well together, is like a movie will come across and we both go, ooh, and we both say it at the same time. And it's like, yes! And then it's like, feature. Like, if everyone wants to know what makes us pick our feature films, is whatever movie that Brian and I both go, ooh, at the same time, and just like basically jinx each other. Obviously, I'm a huge Friends fan. I love Friends. I've watched each episode countless times. And of course, my favorite character is clearly Chandler, being played by Matthew Perry. And I think this might have been one of his very first movies, like at least lead, where he was the lead.
I believe this is his first like lead role. Yes.
Yeah. And yes, he's basically playing Chandler. He's basically playing.
Oh yeah,
Chandler.
yeah.
Which to me, I'm totally okay with. Basically, he's a club architect. I don't even know what you would call his job. He builds clubs. Basically.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's the architect, but he's like the guy who's basically they're going to build a new club, and he kind of goes out there and he's like coordinating everything. And
site director, is that the word we're using? Site director. He has to go to Vegas to help build a club, and on a random night he hooks up with the always amazing, always beautiful Salma Hayek, and she gets pregnant, and they decide to get married because of it, and it's basically a whole cultural shock. He's from kind of like the rich white family over in the East. She's obviously very super Catholic, Mexican family. So their styles clash, and boom, Fools Rush In. There's the plot. But yeah, nonetheless, like I said, Brian says he's watched this movie probably about 100 times. I definitely have not watched it that
probably
many
more.
Probably more. I probably from beginning to end have watched this movie probably over 10 times. But this movie was on TBS for like ever. And whenever it was on, I always just put it on and watched it. So I probably have watched most of this film probably like 50 something times. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I love Matthew Perry. I know he's kind of gone through it a lot with his demons in terms of like addiction and stuff, but anytime Matthew Perry is on something, I gotta watch it. Even his failed TV shows like The Odd Couple, which I actually didn't mind that one. Studio
60.
That show was great, and that show should have never gotten canceled. That was a fantastic show.
Aaron Sorkin show with an amazing cast. It was the better of the two, behind the scenes of Saturday Night Live shows that opened that year.
Basically a comedic but more serious 30 Rock.
Right.
With him and Bradley Whitford as the two leads. I'm telling you this right now. If that show was made today, it'd be the best show on NBC. I'm telling you right now, it would not have gotten canceled. It had one season, fantastic. Like Sports Night, that's another great show that got canceled way too soon. But I will definitely always check out everything Matthew Perry does. He's one of my favorite TV actors. Movies, I like this, 3 to Tango. I like the whole 9 yards. Whole 10 yards was horrible. But I love Matthew Perry. And, of course, Salma Hayek. I mean, Salma Hayek in this movie is amazing. Brian, I've watched this movie over 100 times.
Well, I mean, this came out in 1997, and I was like just the right age. I was, on the dating world trying, I was like, why can't this happen to me kind of thing. But I was also, so I saw it in the theater several times myself. I worked at a video store, and we played this movie in our store probably on a daily basis pretty much. Plus just all the times I watched it myself at home when I owned it on, VHS and Laserdisc and then DVD and digital and whatever. So I've watched this movie so many times, and I really love it. It's probably one of my favorite rom-coms of all time. Like you said, I mean, you got Matthew Perry, who like you, even in bad movies, I think he's good in. Because I mean, I think this was his first lead role, probably still his best one. His TV shows, like you mentioned, with Studio 60 and Odd Couple. He also did Mr. Sunshine was another one that lasted 1 year. And he had one. Mr. Sunshine, he had one where he was like in a therapy group. I can't remember the name of that one offhand.
Sunshine.
What's that?
That was Mr. Sunshine.
No, Mr. Sunshine was where he was like helped run like a stadium or arena or something.
No, Mr. Sunshine. Oh crap! That totally is. Never mind. Damn it.
Anyway,
I'm looking it up.
You look that up while I talk.
Go on.
So yeah. So I mean, I love Matthew Perry.
The show's called Go On.
Go on. Okay. You're telling me to go on. So yeah, Matthew Perry at the height of his popularity with Friends, because it was like 3 years into Friends, so it was kind of at the height of its popularity at that point. And this is Salma Hayek, who. Beautiful, talented. I mean, this is just like 2 years after she kind of first broke through with Desperado.
Yeah.
And so she was like the perfect woman to me. But I love the cast. I loved all the supporting cast. The movie's funny. It is again. This is one of those movies, kind of a standard trope. It's like the clash of worlds, clash of cultures. But even if it's a story that's been done before, it was still done very well. It was very funny. It was also still very heartfelt. The only problem with the movie is believing that he has a problem with, oh no, I have to marry Salma Hayek.
That wasn't the problem. The problem was he wasn't willing to give up his job in New York to stay married to Salma Hayek, which I'm sorry.
I don't care what job I have.
I will drop everything to stay married to Salma Hayek.
Right.
I mean, dude hit the lottery and didn't realize it. And that's the thing, is like, even like now, if they had made her like unbearable or like mean or anything like that, they'd be like, okay, maybe it's because they clash. But she's supportive. She's she's a great wife in this movie. So it's like, what are you doing? I get it. It's his dream. It was his dream to do this, this one job or whatever. But it's like, bro,
this is a better dream. Just so.
It's they did not see what she was wearing on your wedding night. Come on.
Oh man! And you know what? I also want to mention. I love this.
Pregnant. She looks fucking amazing.
I also want to say I love the soundtrack to this movie. I remember I listened to the soundtrack so much.
Yeah, I had forgotten about the soundtrack, but rewatching this, it's the sad song that they always play where they just monologue, like, or not monologue, but it's like the oh god, what's the term? I'm blanking on it. In every rom-com movie where they separate and they play a sad song and they're just showing like there's no like
like a montage.
Thank you, montage. I said monologue. The montage song. I was like, I was singing along to that song because I only know it from this movie. I was just like, wow, I can't believe I remember every word to this song.
But it's such an eclectic one too, because it's got songs like that. It's got like some like Spanish songs. It's got like Dean Martin's "Ain't That a Kick in the Head." It's got such a wide variety of music, and I just love the soundtrack too. It's just one more reason to love this movie.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. If you guys have never seen Fools Rush In, which if you're a fan of Friends, I guarantee you 90% of you people have seen Fools Rush In. If you're a fan of Salma Hayek, you probably definitely have seen Fools Rush In. So if you're not a fan of either one of those, first off, what's wrong with
Then
both?
stop watching our show and go away.
Exactly, what's wrong with you? But if you guys have somehow never seen it, I also don't think this is on a streaming service, right?
It is not, but you should go out and rent it or buy it or whatever you got to do.
That is worth the $3 probably is what it costs to rent.
I'm sure you can rent it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's probably on Amazon.
You can rent it for $2.99 on Amazon, Fandango, Vudu.
Yeah.
$3.99 on some other places. Yeah.
It's 100% worth it, especially for Valentine's.
It is on Stars if you have Stars.
Yeah, if you have Stars, you can watch on there. It's Valentine's Day weekend. If you've got a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you guys want to watch a rom-com with two great leads that's funny, and just an overall happy movie, then you got to see Fools Rush In. It's a great rom-com. Like I said, it's worth the $3 rental. Let's put it this way. If I was in a relationship, sadly I'm not. I'm alone. And because like right now, like I said, the movie theaters they're playing old stuff right now. If I was with somebody and we had Valentine's Day coming up and Fools Rush In was playing in theaters, I would take them to see Fools Rush In. Even though I have it on DVD, because it'd be a Valentine's Day date, I would pay to take them to see Fools Rush In. Because it's Valentine's Day and you want to spend money to look good to see a movie that we literally could watch at home. Because you have to watch the movie. Yeah, watch the movie. No, stop. Watch the movie kind of thing. But anyway, Fools Rush In. Definitely check it out. You will not be disappointed. We're going to finish with Brian's movie this week. It is definitely not a Valentine's Day movie at all. But it was a movie that I had not seen because I had heard so many negative things about. Because it's a sacrilege movie. It is a movie that should have never have been remade. It's a movie that should have never have been touched. I'm not saying that. Personally, I'm saying that's what people had said. But that is Brian's pick, and it is RoboCop 2014, which also came out on Valentine's Day 2014, had a budget of $100 million, had a weekend opening of $21.68 million, was number 3 behind the Lego Movie in its second week, and About Last Night in its first week, had a finished box office of $242.68 million. And the weird part about this, 58.6 domestic and 184 million international. Yes, this is Brian's pick. And like I said, I had not seen this movie until we saw this. So I'm actually going to let Brian start this up.
Okay, just to preface this, I wanted to pick a Valentine's movie. I would try to pick a romance. I had it down to a different movie and RoboCop. And Sean was kind of...
We're not going to do this thing again where you try to leave off what it is. You did that to me a couple weeks back with crap. What was the movie? And we talked about it for revisit. Oh, Desperate Measures. Okay. Go ahead and tell them what the other movie is.
So Untamed Heart. Not really a rom-com. It's got some comedy to it, but it's more of a drama. It's a great movie. Everyone should go see that Valentine's Day. Rent it, watch it, whatever you got to do. Good movie. But anyway, I was going to pick that. Sean, not so subtly, was like, I'd rather watch RoboCop. So, fine.
I did because it's a movie that I had always wanted to see, but I had no reason to check it out.
Right.
The occasional movie trivia question would pop up.
Yeah.
But
so anyway, RoboCop. Obviously, it comes with a lot of the baggage of the previous, the original incarnation. Because that one had such a kind of a 80s cheese aesthetic. It was very Paul Verhoeven who directed. Also did like Total Recall, Starship Troopers, Basic Instinct. So he really embraces the cheese in movies. This one didn't have that. This one kind of took it more seriously. It's the same basic story. I mean, there's some individual little things here and there, but it's the same basic story of this cop who basically is basically almost killed, and the only way he's going to be able to live is basically if they use him for this program they're trying to start off with, where they make him into a cyborg essentially. And then there's a whole thing of a battle for his humanity and if he's really in control of himself and all this kind of thing. There's his relationship with his wife. All the same basic plot points of the original. Although, like I said, this one I think took a much more serious approach to it. The original, I mean, not being a comedy or anything, but it definitely kind of embraced the cheese side to it. This version, you have Joel Kinnaman, who you might know from Suicide Squad. You might know him from I'm trying to think what else he's done.
I know him from, I think it was The Killing.
Which was that's the main thing we kind of first breakthrough is in The Killing. But he's also been in other movies like Girl with Dragon Tattoo, Run All Night, Safe House. But I think most people might know him from The Killing. But he stars as Alex, who becomes RoboCop. The cast also has Gary Oldman in it. It's got Michael Keaton in it. It's got Jackie Earle Haley in it. Jay Baruchel playing kind of a role that's not kind of his usual kind of thing, although I kind of liked him in that. It's kind of something different for him.
Yeah, he actually looks good in this movie. He doesn't look like a little twerpy kid in this.
You got Samuel L. Jackson maybe providing a little bit of kind of the only cheese this movie has, because he's playing the host of this TV show, which is basically a publicity arm for the company. Yeah. But I mean, I'm not going to say I love this movie. I'm not sitting here saying it's my pick because I think it's the best movie that came out this weekend or anything. I just want to talk about this movie because I think it is one that is unfairly criticized. Because I think too many people went in here wanting it to be exactly like the original, and I kind of would rather have a new take on it. And like I've said a lot of times, is it a perfect movie? No, it's not. But I enjoyed it. I do think it took a little bit too long to get to some of the action. But I mean, part of that, I guess you got to set up the story, but there wasn't a whole lot of action the whole first half of the movie. But I thought it kind of opened up a lot of cool ideas and kind of the way they were using technology within him and stuff. So I think it had a lot of promise. Obviously, I'm pretty sure they're not making a sequel because people just trashed it. But I think unfairly so. As a person who watched it for the first time, what did you think?
I think this is also the first week. This is going to be a trend that we're going to eventually start doing. I think this is the first week of it where our picks are defense of picks. Where we're picking movies that we want to defend, that they really should get more. Like mine was Friday the 13th, yours is RoboCop. There's definitely going to be more movies we have scheduled down the path where we're going to be defending these movies that we feel like are getting wrongfully, hated. So first time watching this, I am not a diehard RoboCop fan. I think it's fine. I'm not one of those people that's like, it's the perfect film. No, it's not. It's a good sci-fi film from the 80s. So I didn't have that, like, this movie should never be remade kind of aesthetic going into it. I just am not the hugest fan of Joel Kinnaman.
I especially don't, just briefly, I also especially don't understand people's problem with, you can't touch it. When they'd already made 2 inferior sequels and a really horrible syndicated TV show. It's not like the bar was still up here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Anyway, go back.
No. That's very true. I'm just not the biggest Joel Kinnaman fan. He's fine. It's just when they casted him as RoboCop, I was just like, that's who you're picking for this? So that was just one of those things where I was just like, I was already kind of like, I don't really want to see Joel Kinnaman as RoboCop. There's at least 100 other actors I could pick that I would probably rather want him in the role for. So he's fine. He's actually decent, really good in the movie. I actually didn't hate him in the movie. That was what turned me off from trying to watch it. That and then everyone just backlash because I'm sorry, Michael Keaton, Gary Oldman, Samuel L. Jackson. I'm sold on that, and also she's got a very small role in it. But Amy Garcia, I love Amy Garcia. For anyone who watches the TV show Lucifer, I love her. So I didn't know she was in this. So when she popped up, I was like, ooh. And then of course Jay Baruchel, like I said, looks actually like a good-looking guy in this movie. How is that even possible? Because they made him actually grow like a real beard.
He's got a beard. He's got a suit on and stuff. He still kind of got that same kind of sense of humor, but I thought he was good in this role.
But it worked in this. Like it really did. Like Samuel L. Jackson's character, yeah, it's kind of like eye rolling, but it's like that. But they needed that character.
But it worked for what he was.
It worked. He does a good job in it. I actually kind of wish there was a little more of his character outside of the show aspect. I kind of wish they would have done a little bit more with him. Mm-hmm. The one thing I told Brian as I was watching this, because I was like, I'm going to hold off telling you what I feel, because normally I tell him way before, so he has an idea how I feel about the movie. But as I was watching this, all I kept thinking about was, God, I wish this was like a Grand Theft Auto game. Like either you play RoboCop and the way the movie is run, because it really does feel like Grand Theft Auto, the way he like hunts down everyone and stuff. I was like, I want a game like this where you're RoboCop and you're hunting down the criminals, and depending on what you decide to do with the criminals will decide on how you're sliding towards the human and the robot side, or you're the criminals and how bad you can get before, like, in Grand Theft Auto, you get so bad the army comes after you. You get so bad RoboCop comes after your ass. How can you outlive or out-survive RoboCop? There's a game, guys. Billion-dollar game.
It would make a great video game because there's a whole thing in this movie how he basically downloads the entire, every wanted person in the entire police files, and then he can look out over a crowd and look, tap into stoplight cameras and anything to find out basically anywhere in the city they are. And he goes, okay, this party's going to go chase him.
Exactly. And they pull up a map, just like in the video game.
Didn't he make like 600 arrests in the first like day or something like that? And
he got downloaded. He's like, he already has 634 pending arrests.
Right.
It's like,
it'd make a great game.
Yeah, it'd be a great game. I would love to play like an open world game of this. Like I said, I don't hate this movie. It was fine. I agree with what you said. It does take a little long to get into the action, and I do feel the way he gets into becoming RoboCop was like, I prefer the OG series to that, because even with this one, it's like, first off, he would never have survived that. Not that the original one would have survived what he went through either, but it was just like, by the after effects of what was left of him doesn't add up to what happened to him, especially
right.
It was like, how did his face look normal again? But anyway, I didn't necessarily really like that. And then the main gangster storyline just felt very second note, because obviously the main whole part is it's going to be Michael Keaton's controlling of him. But it just, I felt like that should have been a little bit stronger hit, because it just felt like a side mission to him the whole way through. I just thought the story element needed a little bit more to give it a little more of a stronger thing. But I didn't hate the movie. I thought, like I said, Gary Oldman's doing Gary Oldman. Excuse me. Gary Oldman's doing Gary Oldman. If you like Gary Oldman, you'll like him in this. Like I said, Kinnaman's not a bad RoboCop. I had my reservations on him, but he's actually wasn't bad. Samuel Jackson, I couldn't get over the hair that he had in the movie. I really couldn't get over the hair. So once I got past that, I was like, okay, like, you're not supposed to necessarily really like his character, but his character's just kind of there. And Jackie Earle Haley. I wish we had more Jackie Earle Haley in this movie. I really did, because I love Jackie Earle Haley, and his small little part's great. I just kind of wish we had a little bit more of him. But yeah, no, I didn't hate it. It's not something I would go out of my way to say go check out RoboCop 2004. But I think for in cases of this, if you guys have never checked out RoboCop 2014 because you heard how bad it was, and because you thought that the OG series should never be touched, don't do that. It's worth checking out.
Just check it out, make up your own mind.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, are they going to make a sequel to it? No, they're not. No. Also, Abby Cornish, I'm sorry, she's adorable. She's so adorable, and I everything she's in, she's only got small parts in everything she's in. I kind of really enjoy her. She doesn't do enough movies. I think the last thing I saw her in was like 3 Billboards, and like she's barely in the movie. I really like Abby Cornish. I don't know why, but I do. But it's and also his partner. I kind of wish his partner had more, because like that was a big thing with the OG RoboCop was the partnership between him and his partner, Michael Kenneth Williams. For anyone who watched was The Wire, or was it Oz? I think it was The Wire.
I believe it was The Wire.
Yeah, like he's good, and he's just barely in it. I just wish they could have done more with it, but they do so. The big difference between this and I think the OG series, like I said, I just don't remember it as much, is they keep him so solitude away from all of his older people. And I don't know, I can't remember if they did that in the original series or not. But like when you take the relationship of him and his wife and the relationship of him and his partner kind of out of the equation, it really rides on Joel Kinnaman to hold this whole thing, which he does an okay job. You have Abby Cornish, who I think plays the wife really well, and you have his partner, who's also really solid. They could have just done a little bit more to strengthen it. But like I said, it's a solid film. I didn't hate it. But is it one I'll go back and rewatch? Probably not. But if it was on TV, I wouldn't necessarily like go change the channel, because the action's actually really good. The action was really good. So I actually enjoyed the battle sequences. I do think the ending was a little flat. But nonetheless, I didn't hate it. It's
not available for free anymore. At least not right now.
What are you doing, Brian? We're always picking movies that are not available for people. It's like we really need to start paying attention to that. But
it could be. Put it on your watch list. Eventually, it'll show up somewhere, I'm sure.
I probably will. I would be shocked if it didn't pop up on like Netflix or Hulu or something, or even Prime for free. But yeah, that is our show. That is our Valentine's Day episode. We had horror movies. We had rom-coms. We had a failed comedy sequel, and then we had a sci-fi remake. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel. Don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Leave your comments. What are your favorite Valentine's Day movies that actually came out Valentine's Day weekend? Let us know in the comments or on any of the social media outlets. Sorry if I feel like my voice is going out. I'm trying to hold back from coughing so badly right now, and it sucks. Next week, actually, like I said, I'm excited for next week. I'm excited for 4.
There's a couple of them.
I'm excited for 4 out of 5, which obviously the one we're not excited about. Take a lucky guess what movie that probably is.
I'm excited for 2 out of 5, but I'm happy to talk about the rest of them.
We've got it's basically an all comedy show. We're going to be talking all about comedies. I don't know why, but for some reason that's the week after Valentine's Day is a very comedy heavy weekend. We've got 2 comedies that I love. I love these comedies. I think they're fantastic. One is definitely a classic for everybody, and one I think is a cult classic. You either love it or you hate it. But I'm gonna say here's my little clue, and if you guys don't figure this out, then it's on you. One of these comedies, I had the ringtone for a song in this comedy for like 3 years, and if that doesn't give you a tip of the hat of what this comedy is, then I can't help you. We have another classic.
I'll look at the list. I'm not sure which movie he's talking about. Okay.
We have another classic comedy that I am not a fan of that we're going to revisit, and we're going to see if I can change my mind on it. We have another comedy that Brian and I both. I love how Brian doesn't know. I never tell Brian my heads up on what my clues are, so he's just as confused. We have another.
I just realized we have all 5 comedies next week.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's all 5 comedies. We have another comedy that Brian and I, once again, both went, we both like that movie. Let's talk about that. And then the stinker is a movie that Brian has also never seen. And I remember it from my childhood. I remember it as a young child going, this movie sucks. So we're going to watch that again and see exactly what it's going to be.
Maybe I'll love it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think I will. I really don't think that rewatching this was it almost 20 years later is going to really change my tone. But figure out what those movies are. Until next time, I'm Sean Wasserkrug. That is Brian Michaels. We are the Weekend Crusaders. And until next time, in case we don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.